Here's a brief but annoying message to let you know that you could have first heard this episode 9 months ago if you were a subscriber to our Iron Filing Society Patreon offering.
For the price of a pint and a St Clement's each month, you can get up to 4 episodes a week, 9 months before the rest of the world gets them. Early access to regular episodes, lots of other marvellous benefits, and there's absolutely no adverts or brief but annoying messages like this that will get right on your ticks.
Find out more and subscribe now at tftimemachine.com/ironfilings.
Here we go, here we go, here we go, here we go, this is it!
This is Top Flight Tune Machine. I am Andy Hotbody Dawson. Pow, pow, pow.
I'm Sam Nifty Delaney, so what?
Welcome along. We're having another look at the chart of, let me see, where is it? There it is in front of me now, the 27th of August, 1995. Third episode of this one, which must mean it's a good one. And of course, as we said, from the off, it's pre-Euro 96. So it's leading up to that glorious time.
It's almost what you might call the mother chart.
Yeah. Did you see earlier today, we're recording this a couple of days before this goes out, because speaking of Euro 96, the new version of Three Lions has been released.
Another one.
Oh, mate, this is Three Lions at Christmas. It's a Christmas song as well.
I've seen this. Is this... Oh, no. I saw one that I actually did like, which is a sort of a charity single. I meant to send it to you, which is So Here He Is, Jordan Pickford. And it's like, it's a Christmas version of Here It Is, Merry Christmas by Slade.
Yeah.
And I've got to say, I watched it and it's a funny video and I think it's been done to help promote a charity.
Good.
And I kind of wanted to be cynical about it, but I actually really liked it because... And then I realised it's made largely... I mean, a World Cup at Christmas, put two things together. There's something quite special about that in a weird way.
It's weird.
It's weird, but it's got... And everyone's just been saying it's weird because it is. But what people... In the process of going on about how weird it is, I've not stopped to sort of think, wow, it's like Rocky IV. Like... I know Rocky IV wasn't necessarily Christmas, but he was out in the snow, so it felt Christmassy. Right.
Yeah, and I've never heard that described as a Christmas film before. But okay.
No, I'm going to start calling it a Christmas film just because it's snowy.
You're calling it, are you? All
right. And also, like, what's another Christmas thing? Well, you know, like the old when the Germans and the Germans and the Tommies had a big football match.
Had a football match, didn't they?
Yeah. So it's got slight vibes about that. And the other thing is, I genuinely find the song Merry Christmas by Slade. What's it called? Merry Christmas or Here It Is?
Merry Christmas, everybody.
Yeah, Merry Christmas, everybody. I find that one of the most emotional songs of all time. Like,
it's brilliant, isn't it?
When I hear it, it's the song that touches my heart like no other. Like, because you just get an emotional recall to every Christmas you've ever had. All of those golden, cherished memories from when you were younger. It just sort of brings them all to the front. And it's also just a really, really, really good song.
Banging pop song.
It's a fucking banging song. And I remember everything from being a kid and hearing it in shops when you're out Christmas shopping with your mum in a department store or something. But then also being a teenager in the pub on Christmas Eve, when you go out with all your mates on Christmas Eve and get absolutely fucking spanned.
I miss doing that.
Christmas Eve beers was like the best.
Yeah.
And much better than New Year's Eve. New Year's Eve was always ended in sort of misery. But Christmas Eve was so exciting because you were on the lash and all you were thinking was, tomorrow morning when I wake up, I'm going to get my presents.
I get loads of new stuff.
You were old enough to want to get really pissed and be able to get in the pub, but still young enough to get absurdly excited about the prospect of Christmas presents.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely lovely. And I remember just being in the pub, like we used to go to the same pub every year, and that song would come on just as we were reaching peaked pissness, as Darren Goff might say. Just as I was the most pissed I'd ever been. And then and you'd just be dancing around up on the chairs, and then anyway, I just think it's a very moving song. And when it was set to World Cup, the lyrics are things like, you know, does your granny always tell you Bobby Charlton was the best? then she's cheering, then she's cheering on Grealish, like the rest. So, daft lyrics, really, mate. You can probably fill the gaps in yourself, but I liked it.
I love it. It reminds me, most of all, obviously, of being at our price, because the Christmas build-up, the 3 weeks before Christmas, was just ridiculously busy. And you'd have to play in store. You'd have to play Christmas songs all the time, pretty much. So you put on, now that's what I call Christmas, and like Merry Christmas, everybody would come on every hour. John and Yoko, Happy Christmas, War is Over, if you want it. Wizard, all of them. Shakin' Stevens, Merry Christmas, everyone. Mariah Carey was, of course, the new one then, but that's a
that
classic
was modern
vintage one. So that's what that song
Slade's the best one.
me of.
Slade and Wham are the two best ones, aren't they?
Yeah.
And all that can you avoid hearing. We talk about this every year, but all that avoid hearing Wham pisses me off, because it's like, why would you want to avoid hearing that?
Of course you wouldn't.
It's one of the best songs ever written. Yeah. I will actively seek it out.
Yeah,
constantly.
midnight, 1st of December, put it on.
And
it's
also
Christmas
just
now.
Constantly watching the video. Like, because it's one of the most dramatic and moving videos. To me, that the video to Last Christmas compares to the great televisual dramas of our time. I'd rank it next to The Sopranos.
What was the very first history box that we did? Do you remember?
Careless Whisper, I think.
Careless Whisper. What shall we do next month? History box.
Obviously, the video to Last Christmas.
Obviously, the video for Last Christmas. There we go.
Which follows very similar themes, because in it, right, basically, in Careless Whispers, we investigated forensically in History Box. George has, in a moment of madness, cheated on his bird. And which was, by the way, the original working title of that song was "Cheated on Me Bird" when he first wrote it when he was 12 on a bus, right?
Yeah, he never even had a bird.
Yeah, and it was called "Whoops, I Cheated on My Bird," but in the end, the record company changed it to "Careless Whisper," right? But there's a lot of like simmering looks across the dance floor, isn't there? And looks of guilt and shame. Yeah. And Last Christmas just continues the same theme. In fact, maybe that came before Careless Whisper, I'm not sure. But he certainly got...
same year. Careless Whisper was earlier, though.
He's got the same hair, right, at this stage. And they're off at a wonderful Swiss lodge.
Massive hair, isn't it?
I tell you what, Andy. I mean, we'll get into this. I don't want to blow it all now. But I would love for us to one day spend Christmas with some close friends and loved ones at a lodge just like that one in the Last Christmas video. Yeah. Like the Top Flight Time Machine Christmas retreat. More non-alcoholic eggnog? Andy, I said, do you want some more non-alcoholic eggnog, Andy? What's that?
Oh,
shove it up my arse. Okay, I'll do that.
Us together.
Yeah, that's right. I want it to be a Top Flight Time Machine Christmas retreat.
Well, I'd have to monetize
I want to spend Christmas with you.
All right.
In a Swiss ski lodge.
This is one of the times when I'm glad we're not always in the same room when we record these episodes, because you like leaned into the screen there. As you said that,
you thought I was going to try? If I was here, I'd kiss you.
Yeah, that's the feeling I'm getting. I see some mistletoe in your hand.
We slag off football a lot on this show, but the truth is, I love Christmas and I love football. And take all the other shit and cynicism out of it. What I've got ahead of me, sitting here today, is Christmas and football. Plus, add into the equation my new kitten, Bobby. And things are looking quite good for old fish cake.
I'm glad for you. I'm happy for you. But for me, over the last few years, Christmas has become about the darts. And I know that you don't buy into the darts.
I do watch a bit of the darts over Christmas.
I mean, I'll just say this now. Last night was one of the greatest matches I've seen in a long time. It was Michael van Gerwen, who is, of course, the big, bald, baby-faced Dutchman. I'm sure you're aware of him.
Oh, yeah, I like him,
Wears green.
Yeah,
one of the best players, probably the best player of the last 10 years. And he played against a young Irish lad from Northern Ireland who's just coming through. I think he's 21. He's called Josh Rock. And he is the real deal.
Is he?
He's going to be a massive star. And he played Michael van Gerwen last night. And in the second leg, Josh Rock threw a 9-darter, the perfect leg. Which very, very rarely happens. And I was out of my seat and I was punching the fucking air and roaring like a lunatic.
That's lovely stuff. I'm happy.
So the darts starts on about the 15th of December, the first round. goes right through, has a little break at Christmas, and then right
Yeah.
through to New Year. So I know what's coming. I know how you'll feel when
Darts, football,
when the football
Christmas,
culminates.
kitten.
When does it end? Is it about the 20th of this 22nd or something?
What, the
I'm
World
not sure.
Cup? 19th, I think it is.
19th, is it? And then you have a break.
Actually,
and then
what's
they're
the
back.
date today? It's the 18th, because my son told me today, he goes, it'll be the World Cup final month today. I think
Oh,
they're
right,
doing
okay.
it slightly quicker than usual, by a couple of
Right.
days, because of the nature of it all.
Are there more teams in it this year than before? Or
No,
is
I
it
think
just still like 32?
No, it's
or
always
something?
32, isn't it? Or it
thought
has
they'd
been.
they've
It
been
has
talking
been
about
since like
increasing it.
1986 or something.
Yeah. 18th of December, 3 p.m. That's going to be pretty good. Well, I hope it is. It's
Cup.
looking like it might be a
Football.
shit show.
Yeah, but not only if you're there. I mean, football on the telly, as we found out in lockdown,
Hmm.
to a large extent, football's football. If you're watching it on the box,
Yeah.
if you're there, it would be a shame. But
Well-
I had never had any fucking intention of going to this World Cup.
Yeah, no,
like
that's the
you,
thing.
all my pennies are being saved for the next one in North America and Mexico.
Same. Yeah, got an account opened already, saving up for it. But who is going to go? Is anyone going to go? They're talking about hiring fans from Pakistan.
Yeah,
in
they
the news
have. I've
today
seen them.
and
They're all
shipping them in.
they're all singing Three Lions, but to the wrong tune.
They're
weren't
all
they?
going to be
Have you not
sleeping
seen
in
that?
pods. They're all
They're
sleeping
all-
in pods like
they're
that one
all
you
like-
slept in Cardiff.
Three
They're all sleeping
lions
in, like-
on my shirt. Joe's
That's
May
steady.
is
Steady.
gleaming. Huh?
Whoa.
What?
Stop
What?
me there. No.
Yeah.
Not the voice.
No
you
accents.
can't do the voice.
Well, Peter Sellers used to always do that.
Yeah, that was then though.
Okay.
They don't repeat the party anymore.
Okay.
BBC Two. Things have changed. But this isn't even what we're meant to be talking about. We're meant to be talking about the
Let's
this
take
chart,
ourselves
aren't we?
back to
But
the Euro 96 mother chart.
to go back to what I was saying, Three Lions Christmas came out today, and I can see why they've done it, but my God, just it's good because it mentions the women winning the Euros in the summer, and saying that's a kind of a good look, vibe sort of thing, and maybe the men will get it right this time. But I mean, they're not going to, are they?
I don't think so. I had to say to my son, he's convinced we're going to win, and I had to give him
Okay.
the chat. I go, listen, right? I know, I love your optimism, but for goodness sake, I said, you do know we're not going to win. And he went, well, and I went, no, listen, son, we're definitely not going to win the World Cup. It's as simple as that. So I love your optimism. I just don't want you to get all upset when we don't win, because his the tournaments that are most vivid in his mind, in his life, are the last two. One we got to semi-finals, and the next one we lost narrowly on penalties in the final. So in his mind, that's England. I would say England are probably slightly less good now than they were even 2 years ago. If you look at the decline of the defence, just hasn't changed, and it's always been weak. And now even Harry Maguire has got worse. So really, it's kind of the same team that it's been in the last two tournaments. But I would even say Harry Kane's not quite as good as he was at going into the last World Cup. So, of course, stranger things have happened, but not many. England will go out maybe in the quarterfinals on penalties.
There's
but
one
who cares?
player. There's one player who I think could elevate England above the level that maybe they've been at before, and that's Phil Foden.
Yeah.
I think he's due a really good tournament.
Yeah, is he? I feel like I don't watch enough football outside of West Ham. Is he really? Is he the real deal?
I think he is. Yeah, I think he's reached a level now. He wasn't ready last time. There was too much expected of him, but I think this time
He's so
around,
little, Andy.
He is only little, but that's not Messi's only little.
Doesn't matter
But then
anymore,
he's
does it? They're all
not done
like
much in the
little.
World Cup,
They're
really.
all like sprites now, aren't they?
That's the thing. Yeah, they breed them small now, and then they'll start breeding them big again, like
Small
Wimbledon
and
used
lean.
to in Cambridge.
They've started trying to breed them without testicles, so as to so they don't get
They're
themselves
actual men.
into sex trouble,
Yeah,
which is a distraction.
Well, yeah, I don't know.
Do you know if all I'll say just quickly, and then we'll end the football chat. If we go out and Southgate has to go, right, which he probably will, a lot of people are speculating who would take his place, and I will say this right now: who I think it should be and who I think it will be. Same person. I think it'll be Pele.
Yeah, I think it'll be the ghost of Maradona.
Or maybe they could work together.
Dream for me, or maybe a dream ticket. Yeah, both of them. Yeah, Pele on Earth, Maradona in the heavenly realm.
Like a sporting director, like sometimes, like he always, like Moyes likes to be on the touchline, but he used to have Stuart Pearce up in the stands to get a different perspective. That's the way Pele and Maradona might work it.
Or like Hoddle and Eileen Drury.
Yeah, she kind of she sort of operated in a sort of more of a celestial realm, didn't she?
Yeah, that would work for me, the two of them together. But who do you think it'll be though? I think Eddie Howe, isn't it?
I think. Oh, who'd be the England manager? Yeah, I don't think Eddie Howe. He's starting a project at Newcastle, and he owes it to them to see that project through.
Yeah, but he keeps getting asked a lot of difficult questions about Saudi Arabia and all that.
Yeah, I suppose if he thinks, maybe it'll be Eddie Howe. I'd find that deeply uninspiring and tedious.
But yeah. That's how I feel about England, though, in general.
But then again, who could they hire that I'd be excited by? Pele, for sure. Bielsa, 100%. I've also heard strong rumours that Thomas Tuchel believes he will get the job, and that's why he's not entertaining any club offers. And I thought that's strange, and then I thought it's also wonderful. Was Thomas Tuchel is an interesting and weird character.
He certainly is.
If we hired an insane German to be the England manager, it would be really, it would be insane. Yeah. So he'd get my backing out of the realistic runners and riders.
Mm. He's having to leave the country though, isn't he? Because his visa's ran out. What was like Brexit and all that. He's still in England. He's waiting around.
Don't need to worry, English. I will be back. Ich bin be back sooner than you think.
Get your Yorkshire tea and your chicken tikka masala ready. I'm coming home.
Oh yeah, God. Please give it to Tuchel. I'd love that.
Jalapeño.
What was it again? It's the chart, isn't it? Mm. What else is going on in this chart?
Let me ask about this. New entrant number 6, I'll Be There For You by the Rembrandts. This was obviously, I think this song had been like from a few years previously, but of course this was when Friends came out and everyone started getting really into Friends.
I think this was commissioned for Friends.
Oh, was it commissioned?
Yeah,
I thought it was. Well, the thing is about this song is don't particularly like the song. I don't despise it, but it's like, but I was really shocked when Friends became so immediately huge, and in a sense, I mean, I'm not here to hate on Friends. My daughter went through a phase a few years ago of becoming obsessed and watched the whole thing, and I watched more, and I could see that it's well written. Some of the acting, particularly Jennifer Aniston and David Schwimmer, are fucking talented comic actors, right? And some of the writing's great, although it's very dated in terms of some of the, un-PC themes. I mean, most of the jokes are homophobic or fattist.
Fatphobic.
Yeah. But I couldn't, and so I don't hate Friends, but I couldn't ever understand when it came out and it became huge. I just thought, I remember watching it when it first came out before it turned into this phenomenon and thinking, this is a generic American sitcom. This is a sitcom, even at that age, wherever I was, 18, I thought, oh yeah, I've seen these sitcoms a million times before because I watched every sitcom that ever came on. And it was like a bunch of people living in an apartment kind of having a funny time, right? And that was it. And I thought, and because it's American, they're all attractive. So what I'm saying is, I don't think it's rubbish, but even to this day, I can't understand what elevated it above all the other sitcoms to be, I believe, the most successful of all time.
I know what you mean. I didn't think, from like series 3 onwards, because I used to watch it with my girlfriend at the time, and from series 3 onwards, I thought it was good. It got better the longer it went on because it started living its own skin sort of thing and became like a living organism. Yeah. Whereas it didn't really find its way in the first couple of series, which was when it was like kind of really massive.
Yeah.
It was like instantly massive, like you said. And I think it was Seinfeld was huge at the time, and I think it was that whichever network it was, NBC or whatever, wanted to do something that was a bit Seinfeldy, which is friends hanging around in New York,
but a bit more mainstream.
But more mainstream, not as good.
So the jokes were easier to get, basically.
But even though that was the case, Seinfeld was the number one show in America. It wasn't a cult thing. Seinfeld was huge. Yeah.
Right, I didn't know that. I always thought it was cult.
another network's attempt to try and do a Seinfeld, but it took a while to settle in. But yeah, I still think it's pretty good. My kids went through that thing of watching all of them as well.
I think it's good. I do think it's good. I've never thought it's shit by any means. I'll watch it. I'll always laugh. And like I say, I think Jennifer Aniston is just actually, if anything, underrated. I think she's become.
Let's mention Lisa Kudrow as well, who's brilliant in it.
But she became famous as a celebrity and like a style icon, and people were interested in her love life and all the rest of it, and her hairstyle. But actually, as a result of all of that stuff, you can lose the sight that I thought she was always the star of the show. She was very funny. Her character was the most interesting character, right? Mm-hmm. And I also, I think David Schwimmer's great. But yeah, I've just never. And this song got to number one. I remember having an argument with my sister-in-law at the time. She's going, "Oh my God, have you seen the show?" And I was like, "It's all right." I said, "You're going on about it like it's fucking. It's not like Dad's Army." Do you know what I mean? It's like, it's all right. It's a good show. It's nice. It's a nice show, right? Yeah. And she goes to me, "You wouldn't understand. You're too young to get the jokes."
Are you too young then?
Yeah. Hell. I was about 18 or 19. She was probably in her 30s. And I'll never forget, I'll never forget that. That was very patronising, wasn't it?
Yeah. Ageist. And of course now you'd be too old probably to get them.
Yes, and I think when I was in my 20s, which I believe they're all supposed to be, in their sort of late 20s, I suppose, I don't think I was in a state to be watching. Friends was not high on my agenda in my late 20s, so I missed the sweet spot.
But the song itself, inoffensive, like the show, inoffensive guitar pop thing.
Yeah. That's all right, isn't it?
Number 6. Yeah.
Below it, Waterfalls could give me the opportunity to once again retell my Brian Eno story.
You could do.
But I've told that story more times than almost any other story. A lot of the time, you've forgotten that I've told it, so I'm allowed to tell it again. Now. But this one, I've told so many times, you're bound to remember it. So I'll just praise it and say, I went to Brian Eno's house and he said, "Do you want to hear the best bass line of all time?" And I said, "Yes." And he put on Waterfalls by TLC. That's the story.
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
I then deep dived the bassist on that track, and I believe you might have done as well, so I can't remember now, but I'll just say to listeners, look it up, who played bass on Waterfalls, and then read more about him, because he was a sensational bassist. Not my words, the words of Brian Eno.
Yeah, okay. There it is again. What else is happening in this? 74-75 by Connells. Do you remember that one?
Yeah, I do remember that really well.
I really didn't like that one at all.
Really jarred with the rest of the music of the time, because the thing about there's different genres in this chart, but the thing about the mid-90s was everything was, even though there was different genres, I would say the one thing that connected them all was their complete sense of fun and exhilaration, right?
Yeah.
Excitement music. That was the mid-90s. Look at Michelle Gale, "Happy Just to Be With You," right?
Yeah.
Kiss from a Rose. I'll get back to that because I've got some good thing to say about that. But,
okay.
But 74-75 is just like, it just didn't fit in. Felt a bit more early 90s.
It reminds me a bit of What's Going On by Four Non Blondes. It's kind of a...
that was like 93 or something.
Hippie sort of dirge.
I know what you mean. I quite liked that, though.
Do you?
No, I didn't really. You sort of like it in the same way that you might pick some fluff out of your belly button and find it quite satisfying, but then no, it's grotesque. But that's my feeling towards that song.
That kind of, it would soundtrack that activity. Is that what you're saying?
With Seal, "Kiss from a Rose," I can't remember exactly what I was going to say, but I do think that's an amazing song, and it's from the soundtrack to Batman. Is it Batman 2 or 3?
Forever, maybe? I don't know.
And I read an article once, not that long ago, that was a quite funny writer, I think he might have been American, detailing why he believed that the greatest album of all time was the soundtrack to Batman Forever.
Fucking hell.
Right, and I thought, I'm not sure about this. But then I read the article and it was really convincing, because it was a snapshot of all the best music of that era, you reckon.
Right.
Batman Forever soundtrack.
I've got it in front of me.
It was I can't remember. It was on quite...
yeah.
Yeah. Have you found the article or just the listing?
I've got the CD of this. I got it at the time. I got a promo of it free when I was at our price.
Mate,
and then when I listened to it, it was like, yeah, fucking hell.
Take
this is really good.
It, right? They've got Hold Me, Thrill Me, Kiss Me, Kill Me by U2. That's a banger, mate.
It's one of U2's better ones, definitely.
It's one of their better songs. It's got One Time Too Many by PJ Harvey. They've got Peach on a fucking superhero movie soundtrack, mate. You got to hand it to the cunts, right? They've got Kiss from a Rose, which I've got to say, that is a fucking really emotional, fucking enormous song, right, by Seal. It's probably Seal's best song, right? Then you've got, like, the Flaming Lips are on there, right?
Hang on, you've got Massive Attack.
Nick Cave is on there, for fuck's sake.
Massive Attack
with Tracy Thorn. Jesus Christ, lads, this is a fucking album. It's got Brandy on it. Where Are You Now? Brandy's a great singer.
I think these were all commissioned for the soundtrack as well. I don't think they're like tracks that these artists have done anywhere else. Massive Attack's definitely not on any of their albums. Might be like a compilation thing. Nick Cave, There Is a Light. I'm not sure about that. But Method Man, The Riddler. Obviously, that's made for the film.
This is very credible.
CD,
this is the lineup. Nick Cave, PJ Harvey, Massive Attack. Do you know what I mean? This is not U2. Imagine getting U2, convincing U2 to fucking record a film, a song, especially for a one-off film, right?
Yeah.
And to be honest, it's not even the lead song on the album because the Seal track was the biggest hit, I think. This is, if you go to a website called Fatherly, there's a piece, I think this is the piece I'm referring to, unless it's been written by more than one person, which it might have done. Maybe this is one of those internet tropes that I'm unaware of. But it was written by a guy called Ryan Britt on Fatherly in March this year. And the headline is, The Batman Forever soundtrack might be the greatest album of the 90s.
Yeah,
and the subhead is, there's literally nothing to compare it to.
I don't know. Maybe it is the best.
I think we're certainly open to that notion.
Yeah,
I think
it's a great. Mazzy Star, they're brilliant as well. There's only the only things I'd probably miss out on it would be, I guess, The Offspring, who I never liked, but that's a cover of the Damned Smash It Up. So how can you get that wrong?
Yeah.
And then and Michael Hutchence, who I loathe.
You hate him.
He's doing a cover of Iggy's The Passenger. Great album.
He says in this piece, just to take a bit at random, in the 80s and 90s, a soundtrack album stacked with super popular contemporary artists wasn't uncommon. But what was uncommon was for the majority of those tracks to be good and for the talent pool to be diverse as hell. Case in point, in 1989, the Ghostbusters 2 soundtrack somehow featured Bobby Brown, Elton John, and Run DMC. The problem is, the Elton John song, brackets, Love is a Cannibal, isn't any good. And New Edition Supernatural is just meh, right? And so he's saying this one, they got all these acts together, but the acts all actually did fucking amazing songs. So, little interesting Batman Forever rabbit hole there, because as a film, it was a disappointment. Big disappointment, because I
never saw the film.
The first two Batman films that Tim Burton did are fucking brilliant, right?
Looking at the picture. Is that
the ones with
Jim
Michael
Carrey
Keaton?
As the Riddler,
he plays the Riddler.
Yeah, I never saw it.
It's not very good. But the first two are brilliant. And to be fair, the first one has an even better soundtrack in a way because it's Prince. And what I like about Prince's approach to the soundtrack to the first Batman film is that he made it, in my opinion, deliberately impenetrable in places, right? It's a good song, right? It's a good album. It's got some good tracks on it. But the thing is, that's 1989. So he's coming off the back of Love Sexy, right? Love Sexy is like one fucking neat 3-minute pop song after another, right? And Prince is still like at his creative peak. And so they go, we'll get Prince to do the soundtrack to Batman. You can't get a better artist to do a soundtrack than Prince, right? Madonna had just done Dick Tracy, so it was the idea of, can we get one of the biggest artists in the world to do our soundtrack? So he releases this album, and it's such a beautiful thing, because the album is just the bat sign, nothing else, right? I remember being so excited by this when I was at school.
And it's a great album. It's underrated.
It is a great album, right? Especially if you're what I would call a Prince fan, right? But if you are someone who likes Prince because on Love Sexy, which you'd bought the year before, whatever, you really enjoyed Alphabet Street, or earlier on in the decade, you'd like Raspberry Beret or Dove's Cry or one of his other sort of perfect pop songs. The Batman soundtrack doesn't really contain that style of Prince song. It contains a lot of experimental jazz funk at times, right? And I believe that Prince will have done that because they'll have said, Prince, will you do an album for a blockbuster movie about a superhero? And Prince's instincts would have been, that's the opposite of the sort of thing I'd ever do. However, if I say yes, but then insist on just them publishing whatever I come up with, that could be really entertaining to me. So they thought they were going to get a Prince song that sounded like Purple Rain, but they didn't. They got a kind of weird song, Bat Dance.
I think no, I don't think it's that weird. I think there's loads of really good pop songs on it. There's like Electric Chair, Party Man, Lemon Crush.
Lemon Crush is a good pop song, yeah.
Bat Dance is loads of fun.
It's fun. Listen, I like it. But it's never had those pop songs on. Lemon Crush, maybe. Bat Dance,
Party
no
Man,
way.
Vicky Waiting, like the future. No, it's not an experimental. I don't think it's an experimental. I think the one afterwards he did was Graffiti Bridge, which was the fucking next film he made, which was a mess. But I think it's his last great pop album. But we're not even. This isn't even the chart we're talking about.
No, okay, just a little bit of Prince / Batman chat.
One day we'll do a Prince fucking spin-off series, probably, because there's no rush, except that there is today because we've run out of time.
Oh, okay.
I think we'll leave that chart alone now. I think we've bled it dry.
We've done a lot on it.
We have. We'll do a new one. We're going to do a new one next week because we've got an obligation to do another one.
We haven't managed Who the Fuck Is Alice by Smokey featuring Roy Chubby Brown, but
well, there you go.
We can just leave it there.
Maybe we'll history box it one day. Thank you for listening, everybody, and goodbye.
Goodbye.